What's good, everybody, and welcome to the Mr. Speaks podcast show. For those who are wondering, yes, it's not my first time doing a podcast live, but I'm trying to bring it back because I'm trying to switch up the formula, use my YouTube more. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I greatly appreciate it. I will post links to everything on the YouTube page. And if you're listening to it on Anchor, you should head over to YouTube and watch me and follow me up on there. I'll be posting more of these as time goes on, because there's some big things that's about to be happening in my life, and some big things that have already happened. So I'll be getting into that while I'm just kind of spitballing and just speaking from the heart, because that's what you do. So for those who are listening on Anchor, I'm going to be saying a lot of things that you might not see. But for my YouTube people, you might be able to see behind me one of the things that I've been working on. The last time I posted a podcast was back in July. And for the rest of July, I ain't gonna lie, I've been tired. I got a job in which it requires me crazy hours, and I'm just been exhausted. And you get so exhausted sometimes that you can't really formulate thoughts. And I didn't want to just come on here and make a podcast just to make a podcast, because I don't want to do that. Like, that's not, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it my way, and I'm gonna do it with some heart. So that's why I'm doing it like this. So again, before I trailed off, for those you see behind me, I have a logo up. It's my DAD, Dads Against Depression. Just a little bit of background on why I started that group. It's a Facebook group. So if you're on Facebook, you can search for this group and join, for the fathers that might be struggling with some issues. Before I get trailed off again, I created this group because I have been kind of struggling with this with my new son. He was born 4 months ago, and I had to really do some self-examining of myself, because this child, you think it gets easier, but it really doesn't. But with my first son, he didn't really have any issues with me. Me and him got along pretty well. Had a little bit of struggles, but it wasn't nothing like really notey. Kids are screaming. So I'm gonna have to just get rid of all that last part and keep it. Stop screaming! Okay, so right here, this is where we start. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Mr. Speaks podcast show. And no, you do not need to adjust your eyes. This is a going up on YouTube. I'm doing a in-person podcast. I used to do these back in the day when I first started, had like little skits and stuff with them. Felt like I was a little bit more creative with that and that aspect. But I'm bringing it back because I want to utilize more of my platforms, because I have a YouTube page that I used to do gaming videos on, which I'll probably get back to that too. And I want to get my podcast going because I really want to invest in myself. So I'll be posting links to every single thing that I'm on the YouTube. And for those for those that are listening on Anchor and Spotify or wherever else, you should head over to my YouTube at YouTube/Mr. Literal. I think I switched my name over on there, Mr. Literal, where you'll see this and some other stuff, like a lot of my older stuff, like gaming stuff. But we're going to be doing more podcasts like this. So if you're looking at quick update, I'm sorry. I apologize for not updating for the past 3 weeks. The last time I posted was like early July, I believe. Hopefully it wasn't June, but I believe it was July. And honestly, I just been tired. The job I have now, I work in the food service industry, and it is exhausting. Like, I work mornings. Like, I have to be at work at like 3 a.m. And when I'm off, with family and stuff, you got to handle your responsibilities at home. But it's exhausting. It's been very exhausting. So I have not been updating. I'm going to get back up to it. Now, I'm going to try to hold myself to doing weekly podcasts again. I don't know if they're all going to be like video format. I think they probably should, because I want to utilize my YouTube platform a little bit more. So I'll be doing more of those. Live. Kids are just doing good kids do. So I'm going to address the first thing here, which is, if you are watching on YouTube, you can see the big logo behind me. As I scoot out of the way, you'll see Dads Against Depression, DAD. This group is active on Facebook. I have a link in the YouTube video on my page in my description, which will pop up. but you can search for it on Facebook by typing in D.A.D. And you'll see the logo. It's like a green fist. I'm sorry, a black fist with the green logo, which is the color for mental awareness. So I'll talk a little bit about why I decided to create this group. With my newest son, who was born in February, it was a real struggle. Like, he would not come to me. Like, every time he comes to me, every time I held him, he would cry. Granted, he was breastfeeding, but he just would not be calm with me. And that, coupled on top of, my wife, she was going through her postpartum depression. Like, I just cannot get it together because I felt like I wasn't being a helpful husband. Like, I was still going to work and taking care of everything, but I could not get my son to stop crying. And my wife was really struggling because he wouldn't stop crying unless she held him, but he wouldn't go to sleep unless I put him to sleep. So there was like this imbalance, and it made me just really feel like I was failing as a father and as a husband and as everything. And that's why I realized, I started feeling like I started noticing that I had depression. And it gave me the thought of, I felt this way before with my other kids. It wasn't as strong as it was with my newest son, but it just really got me thinking about, the process of, the medical process is more or less about the woman, which is totally understandable. They're the one that's give birth. Their body has those chemical changes. So it affects them a bit more, not a bit more, a lot more. It affects them more. However, from the man side, the parent side, the father side, it affects us too. And because the way that the system is structured, it caters more towards women naturally, but men do also go through those kind of changes. Like, they may not necessarily experience the chemical side of it, but there's a mental aspect of, okay, we have to, make sure we're still home because the wife is not working. If you have a 2-income household, you're going to have to be the one that's going to pick up the slack when it comes to that, and still make sure that your wife, girlfriend, significant other, whatever, is still taken care of while on top of trying to take care of yourself. And a lot of times we don't take care of ourselves. I'm speaking for me, use myself as a personal example, but I know I wasn't really taking care of myself as far as like the mental health aspect of it. And when all that stuff kind of piles up, you notice you don't really have a lot of people to talk to about it. And outside of me having a general knowledge to be like, hey, I'm struggling with something, there's not a lot of avenues offered, because I could be speaking wrong about this. So if I'm wrong, let me know. There's no medical diagnosis for male postpartum. And I don't even know if that's the right term to use, but that's a term that makes more sense to me, because we as men also experience, a change, even when it comes to our significant others. Like, hey, we're not able to be as close because now our time is dictated by the child. The child needs to be fed, taken care of, all that good stuff. But that change, affects us. We can't act like that it doesn't. So that's why I created this group, so I can bring together more men that struggle with this, who may not necessarily have a professional in mind. Now, it is encouraged that you do, if it's like a very, very, very serious subject or something that you're really, really struggling with, seek professional help. Like, the people that are in this group, we're not licensed medical professionals, though hopefully in the future, I hopefully can get a couple of medical professional mental health people to kind of help counsel some of the guys on it. But right now it's just a group of us, dads who've been struggling, but we've been uplifting each other, telling ourselves like our success stories, giving advice, having all like types of good. And I could say it's really been helpful. It's an up and coming group, but I'm very, very proud of it. And I've really been putting my time into that, making sure that everybody feels safe enough to comment and share their stories. Now, I know a lot of people, guys, don't really like to share, but whenever they're ready, it's like no rush, no pressure to do so. But we just hope that something is said in that group that will help us stay motivated. Because I know it's done wonders for me, because like a lot of times you feel like you want to ask for help, but you don't know how. Or the other reason is, when we men sometimes tend to think very logically. And when we do that, it feels like, hey, I got this issue. I feel sad. I feel tired. I feel all this stuff, but it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, something's got to get done. So what helped me was communicating that, just saying like, hey, it's okay to not be okay sometimes as a father, but that's something that you will have to work out with your significant other if you have one, or having a good support system if you don't have a significant other, if you're like a single father. Hopefully you have some family around or someone that can kind of help alleviate that pressure from you, because at the end of the day, we're all social creatures and we need to have that support. So yeah, that was the reason for the creation of the dad group. And I'm sorry, checking my phone. Sorry, that's very unprofessional, but hey, you know what? It's live. It's all good. Okay. So yeah, that's why I created the dad group. And that's part of the reason why I haven't been, uploading my podcast as much as I would like to. Taking care of my mental health, taking care of, the other guys that's in the group mental health, and just, trying to take it easy. Like I said, with this new job, like, it's been stressful because I don't get consistent days off because I'm still new. I'm what's considered a standby. So I have to be ready to work pretty much every day unless I work every single day. It's kind of hard to explain. So yeah, my days off are very inconsistent. So it's hard for me to kind of get enough rest and get in the mindset of podcasting. But on a bit of lighter news, yesterday, August 1st, it depending on when this go up. I'll say it yesterday because I'm recording it on the 2nd, but I don't know when to go up. It might go up the 2nd, might go up on the 5th. I don't know. But August 1st, my wife and I, we celebrated our 10-year anniversary. 10 years is a mighty long time. And when you think about it and sit back and think about it, you don't realize how long it's been until somebody asks you, until you start noticing. So these 10 years have been, it's been amazing, honestly, even through the struggles, the arguments, the sadness, even the successes, all the good stuff. It's been an amazing journey. And honestly, I can't see myself doing it with nobody else. Lots of people ask like, hey, what you do to keep your marriage going for 10 years? Honestly, it's God. Putting God first in our marriage really helped us. And as a bit of a personal story, we probably wouldn't even be together if we had not joined our church home, which is Greater Community, St. Robert. I'm having a brain fart right now. But had it not been for that and us like really focusing in on our Christian journey, we wouldn't be here today. It's helped us learn how to really communicate with each other. Because we always had an adage of, hey, you never really stop learning about your spouse or about each other. That's very true. And it helped me open up to communicate more because again, yes, love, my daughter says so. I'm talking. Okay, I love you. Baby girl. It helped me to open up to how to really communicate with my wife. Whenever something's wrong, before I would just say, oh, nothing's wrong. And there would be 100% things wrong. But I would like to avoid confrontation because, confrontations means you're not happy. But also when you don't have those types of conversation, stuff tends to build up until it explodes. And that's happened a couple of times. So definitely opening up those avenues of communication definitely helped. And never forgetting, to take some time out to love each other. As you can hear the little pitter patter that's coming up behind the screen. Hi, Bubby. Yeah, it's a card.
Oh.
Okay, yes.
A card?
Yes, a card. Okay, go, Bubby. Go take him to your brother. Okay, go take him to your brother. Fatherhood. What was I saying? Yes. Okay, communication, and never forgetting to take the time to make time for yourselves, because a lot of times, like, we have 3 kids, and a lot of times it feels like our kids become our priority, which it sounds like it's a bad thing, but in our times of becoming parents, like being parents too much, we tend to lose ourselves, like as people, as the reason why we're together in the first place. So we've definitely are learning how to keep that spark alive, whether it be, going out on dates, having some alone time, even just talking, like really, really, really talking. It don't necessarily have, Hi, Bubby. It doesn't even really have to be like something deep, but just some interesting stuff like to kind of take our stress away. That really helps. So hold on, let me pull her up. You want to say hi? Here. You can say hi.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, you gotta go, okay? Mwah. Love you. Yeah, you saw it. But yeah, that's pretty much been it. This is my first time doing this. As you said, I'm live. No gimmicks and nothing like that. But I'm excited to get this going. I'm really going to put my all into this while I can, because again, there's going to be some more big changes coming up, hopefully. Yeah, it's going to be a good thing. So I thank you guys for listening to me ramble all this time. I'll try to put this up today for on the 2nd. If I don't, then hey, I'm sorry. As you can see, life kind of happens. So I'll sign off. This is Mr. Speaks, aka Mr. Literal. Follow me on all my social medias. I'll post them in the description. Say bye.
Bye, Jeff.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead. Oh, you're all allowed to scream. Bye.
Bye.
Half scream, baby.